Welcome to This Week in Guns. The show offers commentary on the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz. I'm your host, Jake Challen. This is a show brought to you by Patriot Patch Company and Second Call Defense. The show is also brought to you by shopping our Amazon affiliate links. So the next time you're shopping Amazon, please go to firearmsradio.tv/Amazon and click that affiliate link, and a small portion of your sale goes to supporting pro-gun shows like This Week in Guns. We have a great panel this week. We have Jim Savage from the We Like Shooting show. He's obsessed with Canucks. I was like, Canadians, what? Human rights, photography, videography, World War II online. And
online, yeah.
Okay. And he also has a much shorter bio than Baraka. Yeah, Baraka's bio is ridiculous.
Excuse me.
We have Billy Johnson. Billy Johnson is a filmmaker, entrepreneur, staunch defender of individual rights, and former NRA news commentator. He recently launched a new podcast, Amidst the Noise, which is available on all platforms. New podcast, what?
I know. I disappear for 5 years, and then I launch a podcast.
Right.
What are you going to do? But hey, thanks for having me, Jake.
But that's exciting. I mean, that's the new running joke on like all the TV shows, though. Go listen to my podcast.
I know. But still, when you look at podcasts compared to YouTube channels, there's far less podcasts than YouTube channels. So it's a good bet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, podcasting is where it's at for sure. Josh Cass, C-list YouTuber, writer, director, photographer, videographer, inventor. Sarcasm is free from Josh Cass. Hey, Josh.
Pleasure to be here, Jake. Thanks for having me.
We have okay, so the first hour will be Baraka's first part of his bio. So
Haters gonna hate.
Baraka is the owner, producer, and host of the Civilian Carry podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network, a nonpartisan podcast, and so on and so on and so on. What else do you do, Baraka? I can't read all this, honestly.
Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows my sorrows.
I didn't know she was a bass.
Hey, Baraka,
Only a few people are going to get that, and you know who you are.
it's great to have you guys back on. A few of you guys, it's been a long time, so it's awesome.
Yeah, this is like the old gang getting back together, except I was never part of this gang, I don't think.
Last time I was on, we had Ebbs. That was a thing I did.
With biscuit mustard.
We're getting ready to know it, huh?
Patriot Patch Company helps make this episode possible. Check out the Patch of the Month Club over at patriotpatch.co. The May design just dropped today. You can check it out. Also have awesome gun cleaning mats over there, patriotpatch.co. And a little bit of a somber note here. This episode's kind of in memory of the producer of This Week in Guns, Kenny Ortega. He unexpectedly passed away this last week. And I mean, he was with the network for years and years. I remember him reaching out as a fan saying, hey, is there anything I can do to help? And, you know, there's a few different podcasts that he helped out with over the years. And, you know, This Week in Guns was one of the main ones. Great guy, you know, competitive shooter, father. And it's really, I mean, he'll surely be missed here on the Firearms Radio Network. You probably, you know, didn't see too much of him because he's always producing on the back end of the show, but he was on This Week in Guns at least one time back in the day, a few years ago. He might have been on Gun Guy Radio as well, so some of you may have heard him or seen him there. But his family, his son has set up a GoFundMe page. If you guys want to check that out, that'll be in the show notes for Kenny here for his funeral and, you know, everything his family has to deal with.
Yeah, Jake, make sure I get that. I said a kind of goodbye to him on our show last night. And I'd like to provide that link because a lot of people, we had a huge audience, and I'd like to try to funnel some love his way.
Yeah, just donated right now.
Thank you, Billy.
Awesome. Top stories this week. Let's start with some positive news as always. First-time buyers explain why coronavirus drove them to gun stores in record numbers. And it's been weeks and weeks of record numbers here. I'm sure Sean has talked about it as well, but I mean, firearms are flying off the shelves. Some gun stores, I've heard say they've done more sales in these last few weeks than they did in the last 3 years. Just been crazy. Josh?
Show of hands, how many people actually helped all those super left-leaning people that criticized you in the past buy their first gun? Show of hands. Oh,
got a fresh one.
My wife is on her way
this morning.
I've already got all the guns, and my wife has kind of made the switch now from being anti-gun to being pro-gun after all this crap.
Wow.
So, I mean, the segue for me for that is that sometimes we don't get to choose what makes that push. But I think and I'm saying this very carefully, I think we need to, with a grain of salt, help these people as much as we can, because now that they understand more than ever that the Second Amendment was never about hunting, I think we have a lot more people on our side, and it'll push that agenda a little bit harder away than it did, for the past, 16 years that we've been fighting.
I would
nonstop.
I would agree. I would say the one thing we got to be careful about is we can't always assume that a lot of these people that are buying their gun for the first time are necessarily going to be super pro 2A people. They're going to might be the people that might not step forward and actually speak out when those issues come. So I think it's our job to make sure that we reach out to them and we make them feel welcomed and we talk to them about it, because I do know a lot of liberals that have bought guns recently, and they're still kind of in the closet about it. They don't want people to know. And that's why they reach out to me, because they don't want anybody to know that they're doing this.
Right.
And a lot of lights came on when this all went down. A lot of people were like, ding. And the big ding was when they went and tried to order guns and have them delivered to their homes, or just go in and pick them up. And they got told, no, you have to go through a background check. And in my state, no, you have to wait 14 days before you can pick up your firearm. People are like, why would you do that? Why can't I just take it home? Well, because you voted for this shit.
I would like to use the gun show loophole, please.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
Can I pay to make this go faster?
6 weeks, I've had at least 15 different people reach out to me, and each one of them I've gone and I've taken it a step further and introduced them to a trainer in their specific locale, because a lot of these trainers are being smart and they're doing basic fundamentals and safety through Zoom. And I'm so appreciative for that, so that they know what they have to do. And then the other big wake up was we had John Hopman and Sarah on our show. They do a podcast called Liberals Guides to Guns. And John is born and raised liberal in Philadelphia. And when this went down and the Philadelphia police said that they're not going to be policing places, unfortunately, he's now in Minnesota with his wife. His mother's place, they had an attempted break-in and home invasion. So he immediately called one of his friends who's an FFL, got a gun over to them, signed it over. Boom, his parents, lifelong Philadelphia residents, liberals. Same thing with his uncle. And we're turning the tide because they understand now. Now that it's real, they get it. And I'm so thankful for that.
The one thing that has me very concerned, though, is these same people that believed that it was super easy to buy a gun and background checks were like a myth, that it wasn't in place and the gun shoe loophole was a thing. These are the same people that have now purchased a gun. And if they believe all that leading up to this purchase, you have to think of all the other things that they believe. And you can't just say, oh my God, I have a gun, therefore I'm a rock star. Like, no.
There's going to be a lot of, as a gun owner.
Right. Well, not just that, but they need to, and this is for all the listeners, because I know everyone on this panel is pretty squared away with this kind of stuff. Listeners need to kind of embrace the fact that this is like you just gave your 6-year-old his first gun without explaining anything at all to him about it, or her, whatever, your pronoun is. You need to treat it with kid gloves. And you need to make sure that person fully understands, or people, so that way they do, like Billy said, maybe they come a little bit out of the closet. Maybe they become a proponent for, Second Amendment and personal, security rights, all that stuff, so that they become an ally and not just, well, he kind of treated me like a douche, therefore I'm just gonna wing it. How many bullets do you really need?
Well, and these people need to get training too. You know,
Right.
I fear that a lot of them are just, they bought the gun and they're going to put it in the back of the closet underneath, you know, a stack of t-shirts, and it's just going to
become
be
a statistic.
Yep. And if they don't get out and actually learn how to shoot, we're never going to convert those people to Second Amendment proponents. Buying the gun was the first step, but now we got to get them out to the ranges. We got to get them proficient with the firearms and to understand how it works. Because, you know, if any of you have ever bought a gun in California, which I have, you got to take your little safety test in the beginning, but that's not really teaching you anything about a gun.
Right.
You know, so Jim, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I lived in California for about 3 or 4 years. I bought a bolt action rifle and a pump action shotgun, and each time it was such a freaking chore. I mean, it's you know, it's amazing that there are so many gun owners in California because they have to go through so much, because all these laws get piled on top of them. It makes it so that, you know, it is infringing. Well, obviously it's infringing on their Second Amendment, but it's basically denying them their Second Amendment for the most part, because unless you have money, time, and, you know, the ability to go do all the requirements, you just can't exercise your Second Amendment down there.
And
So
wait
Savage.
10 days.
Yeah.
Matt
14
on
days
YouTube comments. Matt on YouTube comments has a very interesting point, and I would like to ask you,
Yeah.
If your wife does decide to get a gun, what do you think your success rate is of her listening to you when it comes to direction?
So
I'm asking this with a very clear point coming.
right. So first of all, I mean, I've got a selection, you know, obviously, so I think she'll be happy choosing from my selection of firearms that we currently have. I am concerned about that. She says she will listen to me, but honestly, I would rather she went to somebody else. I would much rather she went to somebody else to get training than for me, because there's a block there.
So I agree 100%. So
that
this
is
is
the
something
right answer.
that I tell everyone. Oh, I'm going to teach my wife to shoot.
Nope.
So first of all, knuckle dragger, you're the same idiot that leaves your socks on the floor, doesn't start the dishwasher, and snores when you sleep. You're an idiot. You could be SEAL Team 6. It doesn't matter. You're an idiot. Send your significant other to somebody who is certified and has an experienced rap sheet of doing amazing training, and let them handle it. And then suddenly, again, that light bulb goes off. Oh, he's not a complete idiot. He did say that. They won't admit it.
Yeah.
But
don't
self-train if you can avoid it.
If that's between you and your wife, doesn't matter how much they trust you. There's that mental block because they know how bad you've effed up in the past. They need somebody apart from you to show you how to do things. So, and Justin Hubner, I got it ready. It's okay.
I tell my wife all the time, it's amazing. I can even, tie my own shoes without you, babe.
Who's got the dog barking in the background?
That's mine. I don't know what the hell's going on up there.
Breaking news: U.S. District Court grants preliminary injunction blocking California's ammo background law. So this is quite interesting, because California had a ridiculous ammunition background check law that passed last year or earlier this year, where you have to, I don't know, do they issue like a FOID card? I'm out of the loop on California and their ammo situation.
That all happened after I left. I don't know how they're enforcing this. I saw someone just post that they're not enforcing it right now. So,
well, it's under injunction now. So, all the ammo suppliers quit shipping to California, but interestingly enough, Ammunition Depot fired their warehouse back up, and they're shipping orders right now back to California because of this injunction. So
somebody in the comments said LAX stopped on the spot and has just been selling it left and right without any kind of background check.
Interesting.
LAX range, did they say?
LAX ammo.
Okay.
Long story.
Good for them. Yeah, I expect Brownells and a number of other major retailers to follow suit, because, man, Freedom Week 1.0 with all the magazines, that was epic. And I always love showing this off. Hold on just one minute. I've got my Judge Benitez magazine.
Oh, the Lord and Savior of California.
Nice.
Right. That's the man. That's the man who's bringing you guys all that freedom right there.
Not much, Doug. Good evening. Thanks for joining us, Douglas Hill and Matthew Dropko.
DC police just became the sole federal firearms licensee in the district. So get this, the whole District of Columbia had one FFL transfer place, one FFL that you could do transfers in because there's no gun stores or anything.
Yep.
And there was like basically this one guy that would do it. And for whatever reason, COVID happened and all this influx of gun sales happened. And this one guy in DC that did transfers said, "Oh, it's too much. I can't, too much business. I'm shutting down. I can't handle it."
Well,
I have a sneaking suspicion that's a political strong arm. I'm just being honest because that makes no sense, dude.
Well, this article says his office was in the police department, which is really strange. So I'm just curious, if they're taking over the transfers, then did they go apply for an FFL? I mean, technically, just because they're police doesn't entitle them to transfer firearms.
Correct.
So it's really interesting to me, like what hoops did they have to jump through to be allowed to do this? Or did they just make a phone call to the ATF down the street and say, "Hey guys, we don't want any constitutional issues here, so let us transfer firearms"?
Do larger police departments have their own FFL?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that I'm aware of either. I mean, there's always like a go-to gun shop that they're purchasing all their guns from.
Usually.
But there is no gun shop in DC, so.
Yeah, but
I mean,
they can buy across state lines. They're the police.
It's like 68 square miles is the size of DC. It's really tiny. So the number of gun shops that would be in there already is going to be like you said, that one guy.
Yep.
Well, law enforcement's a government agency, and they don't have the same rules and restrictions when it comes to accepting firearms. So, for instance, you have like that one, virtual signal guy that's like, "Oh my God, not one more death. I'm going to hand in my AR-15." Like, they can accept that all day long, and then they either put it into the storage locker, they send it to be destroyed, et cetera, et cetera. So they are able to accept.
Right.
But like you're saying, I agree with what Billy's saying, and it does have the wheel spinning a little bit. Like, what gives them the ability on a government level to actually, like,
do the transfer?
You're allowed to have this, right?
Yeah. Well, they said you can go across state. So there must be some reciprocity in DC. They say you can buy your long guns from Maryland or Virginia, some states like in Michigan, and you can go across state lines to Wisconsin and buy a long gun. I don't believe you can buy a handgun across state lines, though, in Wisconsin.
You can.
And in this article, they say you can only buy your long guns across state lines. So it doesn't say anything about handguns.
Same in New Hampshire, though. I could sell to somebody from Maine in New Hampshire a long gun, but a pistol I can't sell.
Yeah, it's weird. There's certain states like that are close together that are hunting states where they allow that. In other parts of the country, they don't.
Well, and is there a difference with it's DC is not a state technically, right? I mean,
Correct.
Well,
It's a district.
District,
Yes.
right?
Does that make
District
a
of
difference
Columbia.
for transfer?
Probably. Well, not for transfers, I don't think.
I can't imagine that it makes any difference.
So really interesting situation, pretty bizarre. So we'll have
But the reason they did this, Jake, though, is because they specifically said they want to make sure they don't have any constitutional issues. They don't want any lawsuits. So that's why they started doing transfers, is because if there's no way for a DC resident to legally get a firearm, now they've got a problem.
right.
Make that line around the block every day for 2-3 weeks, and they'll start fixing itself.
After defying shutdown order, New Mexico governor forces Caliber's gun stores to close.
So first thing on this is, so everybody knows, Firearm Policy Coalition is suing the state of New Mexico for their arbitrary gun policies through this executive orders from the governor of New Mexico shutting down all gun shops, although allowing some big box to still sell, like a Walmart, if they have a gun counter. So that suit is pending right now. And yeah, a lot of her EOs are pretty arbitrary, just like our governor here in Michigan.
Yeah, and we're seeing so many states, all these little tyrants coming out. Some of them you didn't know for sure where they stood on issues like this, but throw a good virus at them and you can see their true colors.
It's for the greater good, Jake. It's for the greater good. No one's going to sense the sarcasm in there. All right, whatever.
Mm-mm.
Oh yeah, she's worried about. She thinks the coronavirus is going to spread more in a gun shop. So it's okay though in a Walmart, but in a gun shop it's not okay.
Well, that's why I need to be able to order my guns online, like at Walmart. Pull up to the gun store, have the gun store employees load the guns in my back of my truck, and I drive away. Right.
Honestly, Jake, I'm not going to be happy until my gay friends can order an M4 through mail order and have it delivered to their marijuana farm. But
absolutely.
That never gets old.
Pennsylvania background checks generate a lot of false positives, like over a few thousand.
25% of the denials.
Yeah, that's an odd one. So I used to live in Pennsylvania for a brief period of time, and I purchased firearms there. And I will say I lived pretty rural, and it was pretty easy to buy a gun in Pennsylvania back then. But the weird thing was, and I only had a problem in Pennsylvania, and I know this because they're calling into Nick, so it shouldn't matter. But I heard the guy on the phone, and he's like, the person on the phone's asking him questions. He's like, oh, he's I don't know, about 6 feet. And they're like, he's like, nope. And he kept saying, nope, nope, nope.
Right.
And they said, no, he's not black.
Yep.
And I was like, what the heck is going on?
That's why
here?
they encourage people to use their full name, including their middle name, to reduce that. That's what they say. But
so I found out there's a guy, William Johnson, pretty popular name, right? There was a guy with
in porn, yes. Mm-hmm.
His birthday is like one day off of mine, and he's a felon. So
no. Yeah, there's a guy with my exact same name in my exact same town, and he's gotten in a lot of trouble. So fortunately, I haven't had any delays, but if I do, I know who it's for. Because I got pulled over one time, and the cop was like, do you live at this address? I'm like, no, because another Jim Ryan lives there. And yeah.
Is it just Chicago? Or I could have swore, is Pennsylvania one of those states that has like its own NICS?
Could be.
It's not like just NICS. They have like their own in-state situation. Or was that like Jersey or Chicago? It was something.
You're right. Some states do. I don't know if Pennsylvania's one of those or not. I'm not sure. But you're right. Some states do have their own kind of NICS system.
Can't remember.
I think you might be right, Whitey. I think PA goes through the state police and not NICS, but I'm not positive.
Because PA is like, we're Pennsylvania, we do what we want, and that's why I keep forgetting like if they have it or not. Is because that's how they are with like everything.
Bipartisan attempt to sneak gun control legislation into the next COVID-19 stimulus package might be underway.
Yeah, I saw that. They just don't give up, man. It's like literally, it's relentlessness. It's a sickness.
I think this leads back to the first story. This is why we need all the people who just found peace of mind in finding something for self-defense of their family and livelihood.
Right.
This is when they now need to understand what this means.
Yes, they do. You're right. Needs to be.
Yeah, I think I'm never one to ask for legislation. I'm always wanting to remove legislation. But if there's one piece of legislation I could get behind, it would be during times of emergency, when you've declared a state of emergency, bills in Congress should only be single issue bills. There should be none of these omnibus types of bills where you throw everything in. It should be single issue bills only.
I mean, I'm kind of like for that all the time.
Well, yeah, I would be for that all the time too.
Weapons, fires, police uniform, unanswered questions surround the Nova Scotia rampage probe. So that we're going to cover the Canadian shooting here. Here's several companion stories. Let me shoot through the headlines here. Suspect killed after Canadian mass shooting. Death toll rises to 22 victims plus the shooter. Canada, at least 16 people killed. Canadians, Trudeau promises more gun control after Nova Scotia mass shooting. And Canada mass shooter broke gun control laws, so it's time to enact more of them.
Yeah, again, the logic behind that. He was a criminal who didn't follow the law. Right, so let's make more. Yeah. Madness.
Yeah, from the stories I read, he was not he was a criminal beforehand, so he was not able to legally purchase any kind of firearm. And then I believe he attacked a police officer and acquired their firearm.
Yep.
So Justin Trudeau came and up and spoke and said, "Oh, well, we're going to have this assault weapons ban, and we're going to put that on the table, and that's going to save lives because I still don't know why, because none of that is related at all to how this guy acquired his gun. That wouldn't have been legal for any normal person to own anyways, because it would have been high capacity in Canada. They would have had to have, nerfed magazines. And so it's just more political posturing during the time of a crisis like this, which is just sickening. It doesn't matter who does it for what reason. When you're trying to push a political agenda and using, to reduce rights, especially, and using an emergency like an event like this to do it, you're just a tool. You're just a fucking tool.
Well, and to further the point of the agenda, last I saw, they still haven't released what weapons are actually used.
Yeah. I think one was a pistol at least. I might have heard something like a bolt action rifle, but other than that, yeah.
What I find interesting is this has been almost non-existent in the U.S. media as far as like on television or anything. There's been a couple blurbs about it, but I mean, very little. You're really having to search for the news on this.
Because it doesn't positively affect a gun control movement in the United States because it's another country.
Exactly. And this is their largest mass shooting in Canada too. So, I mean, you guarantee there's going to be some legislation in Canada. Trudeau is not going to let this crisis go to waste by any means. And we already know a lot of Second Amendment, or I shouldn't say Second Amendment, but a lot of gun advocates in Canada, always look to us in the U.S., that are Second Amendment supporters for inspiration and support on how to deal with this. But, they're really facing a losing battle up there. And I can imagine it's only going to get worse after this.
And this case is just such a bizarre case. A guy, he killed some of his neighbors. He drove all over the place, killing people he knew, killing people he didn't know. He had a police car mocked up, or a car mocked up like a police car. It wasn't a police car, but he made it look like one. And apparently he had a police uniform and everything too, and just a nut job. And it's just unfortunate that they're going to use it as a complete political tool to shove more gun control down the throats of Canadians.
Can we just talk for a second about how the Royal Canadian Mounted Police Chief Superintendent Chris Leather is just a square brick? He's like a Brian Dennehy of Canada. Like, he is a big man.
Yeah, he is. He is a monster of a man.
That is a square individual right there.
Yoked.
Well, I did see a lot of people complaining their emergency alert system wasn't triggered by this. And so there was one woman that they woke up that day and they went out. She was going to her job and she got shot. And her husband's like, we woke up and we had no idea that this guy was driving around the area.
Because they would have stayed home.
She wouldn't have gone outside her front house. Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that was bizarre too. They only released it on social media. They didn't do any kind of other broadcasts, no radio, no text messages, no alerts of any kind, the traditional ways. Yeah,
well, I mean, when the governor did her EOs in Michigan, it came across my phone, stay at home order. And I'm like, really? So you would think that they have something similar in Canada. I'm sure they do.
Well, that was the thing too. They do have it. They just don't use it. California AG unilaterally extends ex parte red flag order duration. So, California has red flag laws where you can be accused of not being, sane enough to be trusted with a firearm. And then they have 21 days to get you in court for your day in court, basically. Well, they've extended that. They've extended that to 110 days. You can be without your gun rights because some crazy person accused you of something.
You would think that the police weren't down and happy about that at all, because that's going to be a lot of police work on there, a lot of paperwork, a lot of time, a lot of man hours that's wasted. And
so they can come and take your gun without you knowing. So these hearings happen without your knowledge, right? So, and then you have to go before the court after they come and serve you and remove your firearm. So
right.
The police show up at your house and they're like, hey, we have a court order here to take your firearms. You didn't know anything happened behind your back. So you're not only denied your Second Amendment rights, you're denied your due process rights. They didn't have to really present any, you didn't get to face your accusers. So you're having all sorts of civil rights violations. Now, instead of trying to resolve this in 21 days. They're denying your rights out this long, 110 days. It's truly unbelievable because the amount of information they have to present at these hearings isn't a whole lot.
It's minimal, right?
Yeah, it's minimal. And it's really
it opens the door for people to just be vengeful.
Absolutely.
Plain and simple.
Absolutely.
A right delayed is a right denied.
Amen.
U.S. Police departments are now deploying drones donated by Chinese.
Oh, Jesus.
And futuristic AI cameras that spot people not social distancing. Second story is actually out of Britain, but it's interesting.
They're doing it in Connecticut right now.
Are they?
What's funny about that is anything that comes from China sits in customs, and they have to go and they have to check for bugs, and then they recheck it for bugs. And every time there's bugs, the Chinese bug everything. I've been in IT for 22 years. Any kind of network security equipment has a million bugs, like everywhere. And it sits there forever because they purposely want it to be known that it's there, so you might miss something. So if they have drones, believe those are bugged and transmitting intelligence on whatever it is that wherever you're deploying it, they are constantly data mining everything. So that's foolishness, complete foolishness. I can't even believe that they would accept that.
I believe it's either Stamford or Westport, one of those uppity, just outside of New York suburb towns in Connecticut already is testing drones that get your temperature as well as monitor for social distancing.
Nice.
Wow.
They're already testing it. It's already out.
Yeah, the ship's already sailed, man. Drones, and people are, fighting against drones. It's done, man. They're here to stay.
Oh, yeah.
And we're only going to see more.
Exactly.
More and more.
Exactly.
It's DJI season, homie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I bagged me a 4-pounder this year.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I got an octo blade this season.
That's perfect.
Yeah, just a little bird shots, shape.
You don't even need the. I want to go with the Remington double-aught buck. That's 15 pellets the size of 9mm. You really want to make sure you bring some wreck.
They're flying out there farther than normal.
But you gotta worry where those fall. If it's bird shot,
that's true. You're right.
I don't know if you've ever messed with DJI, but I ran mine into a piece of bulletproof glass at full tilt.
Wow.
And within 25 minutes had it reassembled and working again. So
wow.
I think double-aught buck might actually be on par.
See what I'm saying?
If they ever arm DJI equipped things,
kill it good.
It's Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Like that's what it boils down to.
I'd imagine we're going to see drones with like a Lysol cans attached to them really soon too, to kind of like sterilize things.
That's funny.
Promises.
Well, I saw in Italy they were going to use the planes that put out fires. They were going to like douse communities with some kind of disinfectant.
Oh my God.
Well, they have the flamethrowers drone. You guys have seen that, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. That just opens up the door to everything else.
Chemtrails? Anyone?
Yep.
What no
Low altitude
shootings and the month of March really means. And this article, it also talks about, school shootings. I mean, that could be, anything almost. Doesn't even mean school was in session at the time.
Oh, you mean like the like, I think in the last 6 months, like 4 to 5 different resource officers have had a negligent discharge at their freaking school and in their cars on school property counts as a quote unquote school shooting. Yes. Yeah. Nice classification there.
Well, when we saw that Bloomberg report a couple of years ago that said 300 school shootings, and then once people dove into the data, they're like, oh, it was a gang member a block away in a drug deal, and there was a shooting, and they called that a school shooting. So there's a lot of that goes on. It
went from like something like 300 down to like 14.
Yeah.
When you actually controlled for all the bullshit.
Whiskey-induced question. If there aren't any school shootings when kids aren't in school, but the number of firearms has increased exponentially, where does that point the problem to?
Well, here's what they're going to say is that now that school is in everybody's homes, every single time there's a shooting in somebody's home, it's a school shooting.
Shut up. Is that what this says? It's all blurry.
But that's where it's going.
There was a meme of a kid on like the what is it? What's that thing, Barack? You know this.
Which one, brother?
First person, put the goggles on. You have
Oh,
to do it.
VR, brother.
There's a kid on VR, and it said, "Better not log into school tomorrow."
Oh no!
Nice, nicely done. Wow.
Arkansas youth turkey hunt up 27%, bags 882 birds. And then companion story, Department of Interior's 2.3 million acre public access expansion, a boon for hunters.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
We're all, supposed to be social distancing, but why not go hunting? Why not enjoy the great outdoors? I mean, we're seeing all kinds of states close down their parks and stuff, which is insanity. But there's also states that parks are open. There's some national parks still open. My state, the parks are all open. They're actually encouraging people to come out and enjoy the great outdoors while social distancing. But then there's states like Illinois, where I escaped from, and they put all the state parks, they put big concrete barriers in all the entrances so people can't get in.
Well, get this, Jake. In Michigan, you can't go out on the lake with your motorboat.
Oh, wow.
That's in the governor's executive order. So I live on a lake. There's a lake right out here. I can't go out on my boat and go around the lake.
Wow.
I bet you can motorboat in Michigan, but without a boat.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, probably. But you can't go out on your kayak. So the kayak's okay, but your boat with a motor's not okay. So figure that one out. I have no idea. Like, it takes more than one person to run that boat with a motor. Like, I have no idea where the governor came up with any of that. And you're right, they closed all the trails and parks here, but then yet they were going to close city streets so kids could exercise on the streets. But they closed the trails. I'm like, what?
All I want them to do is open my freaking gym. It's been closed for 3 weeks, and I'm sick of it. Done. I need my workouts.
Only 3 weeks. We've been closed down here since, I think, March 14th.
Are you serious? Well, dude, the thing is, it's such a normal part. So I work out 4 to 5 times a week in my gym, and I go to BJJ 4 to 5 times a week. I usually go to both morning gym, BJJ at night. So they're both closed. It's just, dude, it's so Twilight Zone-y. And I know Josh does too. Same thing. BJJ and lifting. So.
I was pissed because I actually hurt my shoulder doing stupid freaking bench presses and incorrectly, and I had to stop jiu-jitsu for like 6 weeks, and then just about to get back into it, the gym shut down, and that was right where Billy is, like middle, if not beginning of March.
Wow.
And as we're getting into the end of April, like my gym guy is like, hey, we're doing Zoom workouts, we're getting everybody in. It's like, now both my shoulders are jacked up.
Oh man,
I'm losing muscle. Like, I can't do I need to go to the gym. And
I'm with you, man.
Privately May 1st, so May 1st, we're back at it.
I'm dying. Oh, you're lucky you got a date? Oh,
well, it's a private gym, so.
Oh well, hey, it's better.
The
than
Y
nothing,
won't be open, but this guy will be. So
nice, man. Well done.
I saw in one state that gyms like that offered martial art self-defense classes were petitioning to let them open up. If you're saying gun stores are essential, why not self-defense classes?
That's a good argument. That is a good argument. I mean, the thing was, they had us, like, the reason we were open so long is they were allowing a 10 minimum, 10 people in, and that's it. Until someone left, no one else could go back in. And then everyone stayed 6 feet apart, and it worked well. We were like one of the last states in Virginia to have that's why it's only been 3 weeks.
So, and I don't know if any of you, aside from Barack, have done jiu-jitsu, but I'll say this, and Barack will instantly understand. The difference, I think, between a firearms store or a Walmart being open during COVID and jiu-jitsu is when I leave Walmart or a gun store, I don't smell grape gum and testicles stuck on me.
Well, ours is co-ed, so you have to add in a little bit
on the Walmart.
But yes, he's right. I mean, that's the thing.
The flavor of juices changes.
I came home one night from jiu-jitsu and I was like, oh my God, this is my wife's like, oh, you're looking kind of good. And I was like, all I can smell right now is like grape bubblicious and testicles. And she was like, and you're in the shower. I'm done talking to you.
I tell people that all the time. If you're gonna do BJJ, you got to come home and hit the shower, right? I mean, the biggest thing to really worry about is ringworm, because people go in there and they got some dirty feet and your bare feet, and your face is like some dude just stepped, and now your face is like your lips.
I have a stockpile of fight soap.
Oh, nice.
I still have like 100+ bars.
Nice, brother. Nice.
100+ bars.
So
what the hell are you doing?
So Fight Soap went out of business. They closed the shop.
Did he? Okay.
Like 2 years ago.
That's
Ivy and Gate was sitting on a whole like trailer full of it they were using for their man cans, and they just had to get rid of it because they couldn't get replenished, and they're like, we're done. So I bought like 200+ bars. Well, both my kids wrestle, remember? So ringworm,
well done,
mat burn, psoriasis, eczema. The Fight Soap always did great. Now it's no longer a business, so I can't like say, hey, everyone go check out Fight Soap and use the link, blah blah blah.
And good on you, Whitey, starting your kids off with their first martial art. People don't realize that wrestling is the first martial art. You know, in the time of the Spartans and all the tribal places around the world, wrestling was it. I started when I was in 5th grade, and
it's a good base for every sport too.
Amen.
Football, hockey, even baseball. Nathan, my son, found use for a lot of the strength and conditioning he got out of wrestling and just the positions. And he plays catcher without, like, he could play back to back in the middle of August.
Oh yeah, that squatting position, nothing for him, dude.
Right. He's dummy thick down there.
Nice, dude.
CCI takes a top spot for most purchased handgun ammunition in 2019.
I wonder if it's just their 22.
I would say that's probably it.
Yeah, I mean, CCI sells a lot of 22, obviously. It says it also includes the CCI Blazer, which is their, more traditional handgun calibers.
Mini mags are the best 22 ammo ever made, and they're still really hard to find.
Yeah, they are.
I have a case of them, but I don't like the bulk pack. They make these in this one article. Yeah, see this clean 22. This is not the mini mags. You don't find them. They're really hard to find anymore.
I got a case of the clean 22 though. It's really good too though.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. It's great for kids because they're polymer coated, so they don't get a bunch of lead on your hands when you're loading the mags. So they're pretty cool.
What's a little heavy metal poisoning among friends?
Do they feed well through a 22 AR?
Yeah, everything I've tried, they feed good.
Ease it up.
So the new guns that should have been at NRAM 2020, NRA show was canceled.
Right.
So guns.com put together a list of guns that would have premiered there that have now come out or they're coming out shortly. You check the show notes there's nothing really to write home about here, but
I disagree.
Okay. What
did you feel?
What do you like?
So first of all, anyone who's watched this show and with me on it has ever seen me go on about AKs and how it's like whatever. Like, oh my God, there's a Romanov Papayata with the Super Chechnya. I don't care. It's wood. It's stamped steel. It shoots 7.62-39. It's an AK. I don't care. I don't care. But they are still badass guns, right? So anyone if you haven't seen or know and you're listening to the show, if you haven't heard of Thunder Ranch, you need to go and search up the video Terminal Ballistics Clint Smith, and you will instantly be a fan of Thunder Ranch. Clint is literally 0 F's given, period. And the guys over at Rifle Dynamics know how to make an AK. That's how they made their name. That's what they're known for. You combine pure badassery with pure badassery, and it's an OD green Thunder Ranch emblazoned, which I'm sure is a rock solid AK. So that's is it something to be like, oh my God, it's new and revolutionary? No, it's not. But it is a great kind of collaboration between two awesome companies and two awesome people.
Is he still training?
Yes, he was training with like a neck brace and like 6 screws in his neck.
Wow. He is a bad. If people don't know who Clint Smith is, you got to check him out.
Yeah, he's old school.
He is a bad.
He is the salt people are talking about when people say you're salty.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Amen.
The other one, I saw the title. and I was like, oh, cool, a lever action 410. But then I clicked on the link and looked at the picture. It's like, well, damn, like I would rock a leather thigh rig for that.
Yeah, no, it's pretty neat. I agree with you on the AK too. It's I mean,
who was those people out of Vegas that were really well known for AKs? Was it Legion? Back in the day?
Same people, Rifle Dynamics.
Oh, it was that rifle. Okay, I didn't realize that. Okay.
They throw a party every SHOT Show that a bunch of like the diehard fans go to. They have build parties where like literally 16 people come in and they pay their $2,000 or $2,500, whatever it is, and they build their AKs with Jim. And he has to give like the stamp of approval. He walks them through it. They press rivets. They smash stuff together. It's some of the most coveted AKs out there are the ones that people built themselves.
Nice, dude.
I'm offended. Well, I'm not necessarily offended, but somebody here is offended. We're to the I'm offended section. It's brought to you by our Amazon affiliate link. You can contribute to the show by shopping Amazon via our affiliate link at firearmsradio.tv. So a teenager posted about her COVID-19 infection on Instagram, and then a deputy sheriff shows up, threatens to arrest her if she doesn't delete her Instagram posts.
That's going a little too far.
Yeah, there's a little petty fucking tyrant. Excuse my language. Timestamp.
It wasn't me.
Stop making work for Jake.
I know. 4602. But seriously, I mean, like, cops, you're already saying that you're not going to go and like prosecute lower level crimes, and then you don't just
the lowest, right?
Yeah, this is the lowest. This isn't even a crime. It's not even a crime,
right?
And you're prosecuting somebody for executing their First Amendment, blogging about their infection. Like, what the hell is wrong with you?
You're right.
Well, and
this whole story doesn't make any sense.
I would literally be on the phone with the police chief and my lawyer, 2 phones, just like, hey, so I'm not taking stuff down for my freedom of speech post.
Right.
You can go ahead and come arrest me, and my lawyer will be waiting here with you. Good luck.
Click.
Hang up both.
Yep.
Unbelievable. That's like a lawyer's wet dream, is this case right here.
Yeah.
Payday all over.
Oh my god. Oh
yep.
my god.
You're like
he's throwing cash in his office.
Stay away, lawyers.
Around.
Stay away.
So the issue was here is that she thought she had COVID, and then she went to the doctor and they said, yeah, you probably do go home. And then when they came back and did a test, she got worse. They went back to the hospital, did a test. She came back negative, and they said, we probably missed the window of when you were positive. And so the sheriffs showed up and said, because they had 0 cases in that county and didn't want to have alarm, said you needed to remove that post, which is clearly a First Amendment violation, douchebag. Yep. I mean, you could post on Instagram, you have AIDS, and you don't have to prove that you do. Right. I mean, this is just like, it's stupid. You can
say whatever you want.
You can say whatever you want. I mean, you could say you got Ebola for all anybody cares.
My lawyer would show up in a Hawaiian shirt for that case. Like, Your Honor, go on.
Yeah, I mean that's I mean there is going to be a lawsuit on this because you just can't do that, Sheriff's Department.
Is the Sheriff's Department elected or appointed in that town or that county?
Well, all sheriffs are elected.
Yeah, they're elected. This is Wisconsin too, and the school bus even threw this family under the bus. The school system, because they notified the school system that what was going on. They thought she had COVID and everything, but didn't, the test came back negative, but they thought they should notify everyone. And then the school district went ahead and threw them under the bus too.
So I'm gonna read you a couple quick stats because I want to tell you how many people think they had COVID and then they realize they didn't. So just in our local hospital here, I look at this every day. There have been 573 tests in my local hospital for COVID. Only 43 have come back positive. So What does that tell you? A lot of people thought they had it, or the doctors thought they had it, and then it came back and they didn't have it. So there's some serious stuff going on with this because the symptoms are just so generic, right? Like, oh, I got a cough. I got a fever. Well, crap, that could be anything, man. 43 positives out of 573 tests. And in Michigan, they're really strict on the tests. You still can't get a test here. If I wanted to go get a test, I can't get a test. There's nowhere to get a test. They're only restricting it to people who have symptoms and are really sick. So There you go.
Well, they're also saying there's like 30% false positives on this too, where it comes back negative.
Yeah, depending on the.
And you're really positive, but it came back negative.
Well, they said it's mutated, and there's like 20 different strains now too. So it depends on what the test is actuated to. So there you go, dude. I mean,
yeah.
Can we just all agree the testing has been a complete cluster
disaster? Yep.
Yeah.
And the CDC and WHO have been a major part of that being effed up.
Oh yeah.
I can tell you firsthand experience that our state has some very, very low numbers, and that's because we are avoiding testing everyone.
Yep.
Well, yeah, there can't be.
Yeah, if you avoid testing people, you're not going to have any positives.
Thank you. Exactly.
North Dakota, South Dakota, Alaska,
Bing, ding, ding, Billy.
And
then your death rate is going to be much higher because you don't have all those asymptomatic people that never got sick to lower the death rate. If you just took what came out in New York, where they said potentially 2.3 or 2.7 million people might have it according to the new antibody tests. If you calculate that with the death rate, it goes down to 0.7.
Yeah, it's really
0.7%, which is higher than the flu, but not anywhere near 2%, 3%, 4%, what everybody's been saying. So I don't know. It's a disaster. It's going to take a long time for us to really know what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
I think the worst fact that I saw was that if this goes on for another week, we'll be at the all-time Barack Obama era high.
Yep.
For the economy.
So you're saying we just lost a bunch of years?
We just lost 4 years of economic growth is what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Oh, if that's all.
In 6 weeks.
All right, we're to the fall auto news segment. Stories the real media won't talk about and other crazy stuff. Each of the hosts picks a story here to call their own. So who's up first?
I'll take that.
Rocket.
So an awesome story came out. I'm a simple man. I see boobs, I look. And this one specifically was a breast implant that saved a woman's life who was shot in the chest. It's not just any breast implant, because this was not your saline, but this was a silicone, which is a much thicker, apparently, substance inside, which slowed down the bullet to the point that it did not even penetrate into her chest cavity. It just went into the breast implant, caught it, saving her life. So yay to boobies, saving lives.
So
ballistic boobies.
Yes, ballistic boobies.
BFTs for the win. That was the post I saw on Instagram.
So which material feels more realistic? That was the real question.
The gummy bears, which is like a saline / combination of silicone. Those that's what they call them, gummy bears. They feel legit.
Like, you've done some research into this, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
I have. Like, I'm a connoisseur.
No, that's not quite it.
Exactly. Well, the thing is, the saline ones, you look on the edge, you can see like the ripples in the plastic. It's kind of like filling up a Ziploc with water. You know, I'm very much a connoisseur with this, and
I gotta join your user groups.
Yes, please.
I think.
Welcome to the fold, my brother.
And then we'll get into some motorboating in Michigan. And
I'm an old sailor. Let's talk about this.
Flotation devices can be used as well. Yes.
All right, Billy, what do you got?
So we all know a lot of criminals have been let out of prison due to coronavirus, but this guy, Rocky Music, takes the award. Rocky Music was in prison for carjacking, attempted carjacking. He was awaiting trial, I think he was awaiting trial. They let him out, and 37 minutes later, Rocky carjacks someone else. And then he gets out of that car and is finally arrested attempting to carjack another person. So this guy, first of all, the name Rocky Music, and this stuff is just astonishing. When you go down this list, this is this is some of the most egregious people that have violated.
He looks like a Grand Theft Auto character.
He does, doesn't he? This is not a guy you want to cross. He looks like he does not care about anything. But they just go down this list of people and you're like, wow, this guy out 2 days, killed someone. This guy out a week and beat up his girlfriend. And
it's free for all.
It is
free for all.
It is
37 minutes. You almost feel like that was a bet before he left.
Don't you wonder, like, how did he mobilize that quickly?
Right. Yeah.
How quick you think you can get back in here, dog? Hold my beer. hold my toilet sangria.
Oh,
Toilet sangria.
Yeah, I mean, this one guy got out and 11 days later robbed a bank. Another guy got out in Florida and allegedly murdered a man. Another guy got out here. So just in New York City, they let out 1,500 inmates. 50 of them were rearrested.
Yeah.
Hey, I understand the dilemma here, but if you're going to let anybody out, let out the nonviolent drug offenders.
Yes, I agree.
Right?
Yes.
Don't let out the guy who carjacked someone. That's a violent crime.
Well,
the guy who beat up his girlfriend, it's a violent crime. Let out the non-violent people.
Amen.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So there you go. Most of these are in California. One's in Florida. One's in New York. So not a shocker.
Whitey, what do you got?
It's a tough one between Kim Jong-un and egg demand.
I've already got the Kim Jong-un one, dude.
Oh, you do? Damn it.
It's
a different color red.
Like a couple hours ago, I snatched it out from under you.
Egg demand it is. I want to be a chicken farmer, I think, is what it boils down. So do I, right? But and it rings true because since I don't lift every day, I don't eat like the 6 eggs a day I used to. So
normal, right?
My wife is used to buying 36 minimum eggs per week.
Yep.
Wow. And now I eat a lot of eggs.
Yep.
And now that I'm not lifting, we had like an abundance of eggs. So you would think it's like a no big deal because, we don't need as many eggs. We just kill the chickens. We sell the chicken. But chicken isn't even in demand either right now.
Yeah. Restaurants too, guys. Restaurants use a lot of eggs.
Right. A lot of eggs, a lot of chicken. And so basically because one of 5 chicken farms, just to give you some idea, one of 5 chicken farms had to be euthanized. And what they do is they basically just trap them in a building, pump in a bunch of carbon monoxide, chickens go night-night, cut up, make meat. It's not like a terrible thing. It's not painful. It's not like they're cutting their heads off and watching them run around. But that's like kind of how drastic things are just by shutting down.
Yeah.
A lot of the, you know how many eggs you use to fry chicken? So when you go to the bar and you're like, you want your chicken tendies?
Right.
I love my chicken tendies, dude.
Who doesn't love chicken tendies?
Right.
Honey mustard all day.
Yes. Amen.
But I'm still stuck on the 37 minutes. God damn, I had references here, but I weep for the eggs. As a fan of eggs, 61,000 Minnesota chickens. That's one insane. Out of 5 chicken farms. 61,000 chickies. So many tendies on sale.
Well, and there's a lot of stories about milk farmers pouring milk down the drain, and because all these suppliers of restaurants aren't necessarily set up to supply supermarkets.
Well, the problem is a lot of people will say, "Hey, can't they donate that?" It doesn't work that way. That's not the way the insurance works.
Well, the farmer's not going to.
I'm just saying, Billy, they can get reimbursed if you pour it out, but if they give it, then they can't get reimbursed.
Well, and a farmer out, 200 miles from the nearest city is not going to go pay for 3 semi trucks to bring it to come to his farm and drive to a city and donate it. They're not going to. They're not going to do that. It's like you said, insurance, and they're just going to dump it. We have a problem up here. We grow 70% of the country's cherries every year because there's some weird government regulation. If they grow too many, they gotta dump them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They can't sell them. So the farmers will literally post on social media, "Hey, bring a bucket and come and get some cherries because they're on the ground and they're going to rot because I can't sell them."
Bro, send me some cherries.
This, but
I'll send you all the buckets.
This crap happens everywhere. And one thing, hopefully, that comes out of this is we should realize we have serious supply chain issues in this country.
Yes, we do.
Serious.
We have serious bureaucratic issues in this country.
Well, that too. That's not denying that.
Yeah, and a lot of these problems come from our entire farming industry, being socialized, back from the 30s through the 60s. We're basically socialized farmers through farm subsidies and just how everything is set up now. There really is no independent farmers anymore. Everything is ran through government channels in some way.
Well, milk is that's one of the why they're dumping it is because they can't increase the price of milk. It's regulated.
Yep.
So we subsidize. People don't realize this. We subsidize, like, as far as food goes in this country, so many things are subsidized.
All right, Savage, what do you got?
Yeah, I guess that comes to me. So Kim Jong-un was undergoing a heart surgery, I believe, earlier this week, and it did not go well. It went very badly, very badly. And they're saying that he is on his deathbed at the moment. So leadership in question, people are now looking to his younger sister, Kim Yo-jong, who kind of came out of hiding during the 2018 Winter Olympics and kind of debuted herself there and kind of showed herself off. And I guess she has been climbing in popularity. I have no idea what the internal politics of North Korea are like, or who this person is like. All I know is that Kim Jong-un is a tyrannic SOB, and I hope he dies a very painful death for all the stuff that he's done to his people. That being said, this could be a very good thing or a very bad thing. Good in that maybe she's different, bad in that maybe she's the same or worse and doesn't have the same kind of compunctions, that her brother had and might be willing to go to war sooner. I hope not. I hope that's not the case. I hope this is maybe a change for the better, because the last thing we need is more crazy crap going down in 2020.
They're a very patriarchal society. I can't imagine that the military is going to allow a woman come to power.
Me neither.
I think there would be if he dies. I think, first of all, the one brother was already passed up once, and they've said he's too girly, which that came out of North Korea. I don't know what that means, but you take it for what you think it means. But I don't think they'll let her rise to power. I think there will be a military coup, and then somehow the military will try to take over.
That sounds more reasonable.
I mean, I'm not a professional in North Korea, but
the other side of that coin, though, Billy, is what does that say about her if they do allow it? Is she going to be worse than him?
Right.
Yeah, that's a point. That's a good point.
He fed his uncle and five. I think it was his uncle. I think there were 6 of them that were fed to 120 dogs.
Yes, and
while they all watched.
Yes, and he blew up a guy with a
anti-aircraft gun.
Missile. Yes, blew him up. Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah. So when they were saying girly, you don't shoot a man with a shotgun. Use anti-aircraft. That's it, dude.
All I can think about is that scene in Three Amigos where he's like, "Hold your hat high."
Yes.
Jesus.
All right. I guess I'll do mine real quick. Can coronavirus be spread through farts?
Oh, Lord. Have mercy. I guess.
Is someone studying this? Like,
I know this is like ridiculous.
Hey,
yeah.
There's a lot of grants out there right now, Billy. A lot of grants for this kind of
Oh my God.
Well, a lot of people are just wearing like these homemade cloth masks. I mean, does your pants stop your fart? I mean,
there you go.
Cloth.
No, it definitely travels through the pants. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
My preliminary testing has confirmed that farts do indeed travel. Where's my money? Where's my government
For
grant?
$50,000 grant, I can prove
Patriot Patch Company helps make this episode possible. You can check out the Patch of the Month Club. Exclusive patches delivered to your mailbox each month. Only available via the Patch of the Month Club, patriotpatch.co. And again, in memory of Kenny Ortega, years of producing this show, he will be missed for sure. His GoFundMe page for funeral expenses is set up. I misspoke earlier. It was set up by his daughter, not son. But it's in the show notes here. You can check that out, and he will be missed. So let's touch base with you guys real quick, see what you guys are up to. Billy, tell me about your podcast. What are you doing?
I don't know what I'm doing, Jake. No, so if any of you have seen my old videos, they're very clear and concise and like 3 minutes to the point, and I don't want to do that anymore. So I decided I was going to launch a podcast because I was sitting at home like everybody else, and started out interviewing some people. And the one thing I think that I struggle with on that is I love to talk to people in person, and when you're interviewing people, I think sometimes the technology gets in the way. So I have some ideas on how I'm going to shift the podcast. I'm going to keep doing it, but I got some ideas, and over the next month, I might change the format of it, but it's going really well so far. I mean, for disappearing for 5 years and coming back, I want to thank everybody who's listened. I'm actually super impressed with how many people like came back and listened. So I think that was pretty cool. And I want to thank everybody for doing that. And if you haven't listened, go check it out. It's Amidst the Noise. If you haven't seen any of my old videos, they're still on YouTube. Channel's Amidst the Noise. And the podcast is available on all the platforms.
Awesome. Very cool. So Whitey, what's up and where can people connect with you online?
First, if you ever need comedic relief, I'm always available for you.
Just so but we got this computer thing, man. Like, can you come out here? Will your wife let you?
No. Not right now. I do have several trips that have to happen to go visit clients. I will see if I can schedule Michigan into the weekly rotation. But for the most part, no. People can find me on.
No, you got to schedule it when the cherries are ripe.
Yes.
There you go. Right on.
Now
it's August.
Jake, bringing it all together. So people can find me at 4Guys Guns, Instagram, Facebook. I barely ever look at Twitter. When I do, it turns into like this really weird spiral, and then I ignore it for a month. But for the most part, I'm just going to be snarky and me. I've been handling a lot of social media for a lot of companies right now, and I also do a lot of photography and videography. Have not been able to get to the range. Did an Instagram live like a week ago because I just haven't been in front of a camera talking about guns in like 2 months. So just got to the range for the first time today. Try and shake some rust off because you don't want to go on camera looking like you don't know how to shoot. And yeah, more videos coming soon. We got a bunch of cool stuff lined up for review. And luckily, a lot of the companies that we're going to be doing stuff for have been very gracious in understanding that kind of homeschooling and running a business at the same time is not conducive. So if you get a punchy response from me, just know it's been a long day and the whiskey hasn't started yet.
Or
in quarantine, you can start the whiskey at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
I try not to until the backup adult comes home.
Oh, okay.
But because the wife is a pediatric nurse, so I haven't really been able to leave the house because whatever she brings in, we're stuck with it as well. So we just stay inside. So yeah, I've been here. As the pain.
Okay. Baraka, what's up? Where can people connect with you online?
So what's up with us? We just finished our 140th episode on Civilian Carry Radio, which is on the Firearms Radio Network, which was previously owned by Mr. Jacob Challen here, who facilitated the show about 3.5 years ago. We've been doing exceptionally well. I want to appreciate you guys for all of your help, your patronage, your continued support. We are continuing to grow our audience, and it's doing really well. So we're really happy. The purpose of our podcast is to give people to encourage people to spread the Second Amendment, firearm safety education, training, and proper mindset so that people can have awareness and realize if they buy a gun, they need to get trained. That is our biggest thing. Our show, we don't talk, we don't cuss, we don't drink, and we don't talk about politics because the right to self-protection is a natural right and it is for everyone. So please join us every Wednesday from 8 p.m. till 9:30 p.m. On Firearms Radio Network. We're on both. We use this platform that Jake suggested to me, and thank you for that, StreamYard. And so we stream through Facebook as well as YouTube simultaneously every Wednesday night. Please come join us at Civilian Carry Radio. We also have CC_Radio 2A on Instagram, and I'm at the Big Daddy B on Instagram, and we'd love to have you.
Very cool. Savage, what's up? Where can people connect with you online?
Well, I can be found in various places around Facebook, though I don't use it that often. It's not my favorite place to be. I do a lot of photography in my free time when I can get out and walk around and take pictures. So you can see if you go to Instagram and you do @Savage1R, I'm there. I recently have been getting a lot more into the film photography, so I've been picking up some old film cameras and going to old school.
Nice.
With it, trying to get back into that, and it's definitely a challenge because you have to be a lot more on your A game when you're working with film, whereas if you're working with digital. So I've got three rolls of film coming back, and hopefully they all turned out okay. Also, I obviously we like shooting. You can catch me there every Monday night at 6 to 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then if anybody likes World War II games and flight sims, you can usually find me every night on World War II Online flying with the JG51 squad.
Cool.
You're muted, Whitey.
Are you into bondage?
What?
Why would you do film? It's like you just hate yourself and want to be hurt over and over again.
No, it's
Masochist,
definitely harder,
right.
but you can get a look with film that it's really, really super hard to duplicate. Super hard to duplicate.
From a photographer, I agree. However, are you into bondage? Because you should look into it.
I found a guy on eBay who actually processes film for super cheap.
Oh, okay.
It's like for like $5 a roll. So it works out pretty good.
I found a guy on eBay, and that's
I have a refrigerator drawer full of film that I still have from.
Oh my god!
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. I used to shoot film all the time. So
what kind do you have?
I have some super high speed. I got like some 1600 and I got some over 2000, which is really, you don't see that much anymore. But what you got to be concerned about is you can't get that anywhere near like a metal detector or anything, because when you're up at like 1600, I accidentally taken 1600 through like a metal detector and it's done. It's you can't do anything about it.
That's
because it's so sensitive. But yeah, I love film, but yeah, I'm all about digital now. But I appreciate what you're doing. It's cool. And it's a good way to improve your skills for sure.
Yeah. You have to slow down and get everything just right and go for that one shot. Whereas with digital, it's just like, okay, there's a picture. Okay. I got one that turned out great after about 50 shots.
And speaking of evolution, because I remember when I used to be a frequent on This Week in Guns, I used to always look down upon red dots. Well, I have joined the cult. So I am now shooting a red dot, and I love it. And I was wrong, and I admit it openly. I love this aim point. I open up at 25 yards on a 6-inch, and everything's there. It is everything that I thought it would be and more.
You can leave your feedback by commenting on the bottom of the YouTube videos or Facebook videos, or head over to the show notes at firearmsradio.tv. Click This Week in Guns. Don't forget to leave us an iTunes review and help out the show via the Amazon affiliate link. Brought to you by Patriot Patch Company and Second Call Defense. And that's about it. So thank you, Whitey.
Pleasure to be here, Jake. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yes, I love it.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jake. Really appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Baraka.
Thank you, Jake. Appreciate it. Gonna get some biscuits and mustard.
I'm just glad there's no chicken butt this episode.
You brought it up.
Thank you, Savage.
Thanks. I'll see you 5 years from now, I guess.
That makes two of us.
Thanks for having us, Jake.
Yeah.
It's good having the gold band back together.
Absolutely. We'll see you next time.